visiting Les in hospital as he was fighting that long battle with cancer, and all he could talk about that day was an exclusive that he was working on. He was telling me all the facts, the details, and I'm thinking, mate, you're telling me. I left RPA that day wondering whether or not that story would ever see the light of day. A short time later, there it was, front page, by Les Kennedy. It was his last byline. I know Les would be tremendously honoured and totally humbled that we are here tonight in his name. And I'm sure he would be mightily impressed by the standard of crime reporting represented here tonight. So, the nominations for the Les Kennedy Award for Crime Reporting are and the winner is Emma Partridge, The Daily Telegraph.
Thank you. I don't think Les would mind me saying this, but I'm very pleased and excited to win this award for many reasons, but one of those reasons is because last year I was very fortunate to win one of these beautiful trophies, but I left it a little bit worse for wear last year. Mark Maury and I thought it was a great idea. We were up at the stables after this ceremony, and we thought it'd be good to use it as a doorstop in the fire escape so we could have a ciggy. So I promise I'll keep this one in mint condition. In keeping with Les, you know, I think Les would agree with me in that a lot of good stories start at the pub. And I have to say this story, the story of Matthew Dunbar and his death started in the pub at Walker. I drove to the small town of Walker, bit of a hunch, few rumours, and I drove straight to the local pub. And I sat down, I ordered a chicken schnitzel, and the bartender came over to me, put it down and asked me why I was there. And I said, I'm a journalist. And he said, well, he sort of crouched down next to me and said, you must be here for that murder down the road. And I said, oh, well, yeah, no, I don't know if it's a murder, but we're just here to see what's happened. And he said, ask the butcher, ask the vet, ask the ladies at the coffee shop. That man was murdered, and his widow is on his farm, and you need to stay here because we're really upset that she's still walking around and she hasn't been arrested yet. So I stayed for quite some time after he said that to me. I really want to thank Nathan Edwards, photographer, who was with me for most of the time. He came up to Walker with me and did a lot of the interviews with the farmers, the neighbours, everyone that knew Matthew Dunbar. And it's a story for another time, but Nathan actually picked me up from the Walker Hospital. I was incredibly sick, and drove me out to Matthew Dunbar's farm to confront his widow and ask her if she had any hand in his death. So I'll never forget the support that Nathan gave me at that time. I also want to thank the Daily Telegraph for giving me the time to work on the story and for putting their trust in me. I basically just said, I think there's a good story, I'm not sure, but I need to go there. And I just got in my little Mazda and drove there by myself. So I always appreciate the trust that you had in me and giving me that time. This means so much to me, especially seeing as though Les was one of the first people I met when I started the graveyard shift at the Sun Herald many years ago. So this one's for Les. Thank you very much.